Well, he used to write a column, I believe it was for Ebony magazine, and a gay guy wrote him and told MLK of his sexual orientation. And the man said, "What can I do about this? I don't want to be gay. I know that it's a sin. I know it's wrong, but I can't help myself. What should I do?" And he gave him advice that would only be deemed as homophobic today. He told him to pray and hope God essentially takes it away. It is a sin. It is wrong. And if he prays hard enough, perhaps God will purge him of the sin. I'm paraphrasing. Now, given today's woke culture, can you imagine giving a gay person that kind of advice? What you would say about such a person? Homophobic. Hateful. That's the advice MLK gave. Consistent with how a lot of people felt in those days. How a lot of people still feel. Should we cancel out MLK? Another Confederate general who did a 180 on the issue of slavery was Lieutenant General James Longstreet, celebrated general, one of Robert E. Lee's favorites. He became a Republican after the war, served in Republican administrations, even fought against what was called the White League in New Orleans. After the war, he moved to New Orleans. He urged Southerners to support the Republican Party and endorsed their candidate, Ulysses S. Grant, for president in 1968. He commanded blacks in the New Orleans Metropolitan Police Force against the anti-Reconstruction White League, which was considered to be a paramilitary arm of the Democratic Party. He commanded blacks against the Reconstruction White League at what became the Battle of Liberty Place in 1874. There he was shot, held captive for several days. He later accepted political appointments from Republicans, even criticized General Robert E. Lee. For his betrayal, white Southerners called Longstreet a scallywag and a leper of the community. History's complicated. Vandals deface Frederick Douglass statue in New York. He wasn't a slave owner. Wasn't a Confederate general. Wasn't even a white abolitionist. He was black. Born a slave. And there's a statue in Rochester, New York, the site of his famous July 4 address, where he said, "What is the 4th of July to a slave?" One of the most famous speeches ever given. It had stood at Maplewood Park, but now the base is gone, bits of it scattered around the area. He gave a speech in 1852 in Rochester, New York, to the Rochester Anti-Slavery Sewing Society. The speech was called, "What is the Slave to the 4th of July?" close quote. And now the statue of Frederick Douglass has been defaced. So if this really is all about removing offensive Confederate statues, after all, they were traitors, how do you explain toppling George Washington, Thomas Jefferson? They were slave owners, but they weren't traitors. To the British, they were traitors. How do you explain defacing a statue of Frederick Douglass? What, the protesters didn't know? Didn't know who he was? What does that say about our educational system? Protesters did know. What does it say about the protesters?